I'm reading today from Paul's letter to the Galatians, the 6th chapter, beginning with the first verse. Brothers, if someone is caught in a sin, you who are spiritual should restore him gently. But watch yourself, for you may also be tempted. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. Each one should test his own actions. Then he can take pride in himself without comparing himself to somebody else. For each one should carry his own load. Anyone who receives instruction with the word must share all good things with his instructor. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. The one who sows to please his sinful nature, from that nature will reap destruction. The one who sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap everlasting life. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. Now, last week, I talked about the law of evidence, which is a law of science and logic. And it, like gravity, it's a law that exists in nature, in the physical world. But there are other things which are called natural laws, which we don't see necessarily in the physical world. They're more spiritual in nature. And one of the, probably the biggest one that you hear about today is called the law of attraction. How many of you have heard about the law of attraction? Yeah, several celebrities talk about it. Oprah, Dr. Phil, Steve Harvey. And basically the law says that like is attracted to like. And so if you're putting out good thoughts into the universe, good things will be attracted to you. And if you put out negative thoughts into the universe, negative things will be attracted to you. Now, I'm always skeptical of what I call pop psychology. This is usually I'm skeptical about it because somebody's trying to sell something. Because every time you hear about this, somebody wants to sell you a book which will explain it further. And so, knowing that they have some financial interest at hand, I'm always skeptical. And on top of that, I've heard many pastors criticize the law of attraction as unchristian. This is not Christian. Don't believe it. Now, in one sense, that is true, that this is unchristian, or is non-Christian, because many people who believe in the law of attraction believe in another faith besides Christianity, or don't believe in God at all. But just because it's not specific to being a Christian doesn't mean it's not true. The law of gravity is true for all people, whether you're a Christian or not. You don't get a pass from the law of gravity because you're not a Christian. So, is it Christian? Or more importantly, is it okay for Christians to believe in the law of attraction? Is it counter to what it means to be a Christian and to believe as a Christian? Now this is a tough one because I can't just say yes or no. You know, I like those kind of questions where I can just answer yes or no and say, yeah, you can believe this, or no, don't believe it. But because the law of attraction is, in one sense, so broad, in that there are so many different ways people interpret it, I can't say specifically, yes, it's Christian, or no, it's not. It can be, depending on how you understand the law of attraction. There are ways to understand it that are consistent with what the Bible teaches. And there are ways to understand it which are contrary to what the Bible teaches. So I can't just give you a blanket answer and say, just don't believe it and you'll be fine. Because Paul is very clear in Galatians when he says, God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. And at its heart, that is what the law of attraction says. What you put out, what you sow, is what comes back to you. If Paul is planting beans this year, he doesn't expect corn to grow in his fields. Now, there'll be a few pieces of volunteer corn, but for the most part, you plant beans, you get beans. You plant corn, you get corn. It's the same thing spiritually. Paul says, if you sow to satisfy your sinful nature, your earthly nature, that's what you get. You know, if your goal in life is to get rich, and you put out the right things to get money, you'll get money. Problem is that money's not going to do you good in the next life. If you put out things to please God, eternal things, you get eternal things back. In Sunday school today, we talked about consecrating yourself, about setting yourself apart and preparing to worship God. Now, back during the times of the Bible, consecrating yourself involved several ritual steps. But the purpose of those ritual steps, like washing and putting on clean clothes, wasn't just to prepare the body, it was to prepare the person's mind, to get themselves in the right mood for God's work. Because our attitude influences our perception. If you get up in the morning and you say, what is God going to do for me today? I wonder what God is going to do. I'm so excited to see what God is going to do for me today. You will find that God does something for you that day. And if you wake up in the morning and you get up and go, I wonder what's going to go wrong today, something will go wrong. Now, the secret is that no matter how your attitude is when you get up, God's going to bless you every day. And more than likely, something's going to go wrong every day. That's just the way the world works. But your perception of it will change depending on your attitude. If you spend all day looking for what's going to go wrong, that's what you will remember. And that's what you will find. And you will miss the times when God is going, hey, look what I'm doing for you. And on the reverse, if you get up and go, I'm so excited to know what God's going to do for me today, and you're looking for God to do something for you, you are much more likely to notice it when it happens. Most of God's blessings for us, we kind of take for granted. We don't even recognize He's blessing us while He's doing it. But if we're looking for it, if we're putting out that positive energy, as they say, is it more likely to happen? I don't know. But are we more likely to notice it? Yes, we are. There are people in this world who see everything that happens as an opportunity. And they are some of the most successful people you'll ever meet. And it's not because they get more opportunities than the rest of us. It's because they recognize more opportunities than the rest of us. And many times they recognize opportunities where the rest of us don't see them. It is not necessarily true that only positive things come to you if you send out positive thoughts. But you're much more likely to recognize the positive things that come to you if you send out positive thoughts. I said that our attitude influences our perception. And there's another truth that psychologists tell us, which is perception is reality. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, in my astronomy class in college, the professor was talking about the history of astronomy. He said, and we're talking about Copernicus and Galileo saying that the Earth revolves around the sun instead of the other way around. We all learned this in school. But he said, but think for a minute, what would it look like if the sun actually revolved around the Earth? Well, it would look like it looks like now. The people back then weren't stupid to think that the sun revolved around the Earth. That's what it looked like. That's still what it looks like. So our perception of it changed because of the math, because of our understanding. Our perception of the world changes based on our attitude. If you send out good thoughts, if you view the world through positive eyes, if you look at the world and look at each day and say, what good things is God going to bring to me today? Again, I'm not going to say He's going to bring you more good things than He'll bring you if you don't think that, but I am going to say you're going to notice more of them. And if you have negative views on the world, you're going to notice more of the negative things that happen. You find what you're looking for. So, is it okay to believe in the law of attraction? I think yes. I think we can understand it from a Christian perspective. I think it's quite clear, as Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, as Paul says in the book of Galatians. If you focus on spiritual things, you will receive spiritual things. If you focus on good things, you will notice good things. If you focus on God, you will find God. Our closing hymn is number 591, Have Thine Own Way, Lord.
Please stand and turn to page 591 to sing the first and last verse of page 591.
Let us pray. Oh Lord, help us to prepare to see you at work in the world. Give us an attitude of hope. Give us an attitude of faith, for we know you will not disappoint. Grant us peace, grant us wisdom, grant us courage, grant us strength. Hold us ever in your love. And all of God's people said,